If it's Monday, Michael Cohen, the prosecution's star witness, takes the stand in Donald Trump's hush money trial, telling jurors that the former president directed him to make those payments to protect his presidential campaign. Plus, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken delivers one of his sharpest rebukes yet of Israel's conduct in Gaza, warning Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that his strategy in Gaza is unsustainable, that Hamas has begun to reform, and that anarchy and chaos could soon follow. And jury selection is now underway in Senator Bob Menendez's corruption and bribery trial, as the New Jersey Democrat faces more than a dozen federal charges for allegedly trading official acts in the Senate for gold bars and piles of cash. Hello there. Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Ryan Nobles, where we are tracking developments out of Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial as his former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, is on the stand as we speak in New York as the prosecution's star witness. It is hard to overstate how important a witness Michael Cohen is in this case, as the prosecution seeks to prove that Donald Trump knowingly falsified business records about the hush money payments to an adult film star, Stormy Daniels, in order to protect his presidential campaign. Cohen testified in great deal about the concerns from Trump that Stormy Daniels' story could hurt his presidential campaign in the wake of the Access Hollywood tape, and that Trump told Cohen to make the payments to Daniels. Prosecutors also tried to establish that Trump was intimately aware of what Cohen was doing and why, because it came after they worked together on a similar catch-and-kill scheme to keep Karen McDougal's story from damaging his campaign. Now, Cohen testified Mr. Trump was directly aware of those efforts, telling the court, quote, "What I was doing at the direction of and for the benefit of Mr. Trump." But Cohen's position as a star witness is rife with concerns about his credibility. He has a well-documented history of lying, including on the witness stand. It's something the defense is expected to hammer home in their cross-examination. Cohen's testimony is expected to last days and is at a critical junction in the legal case against Trump. But at a New Jersey rally this weekend, Donald Trump making it clear he still sees a political benefit to his legal trouble.
It's really backfired. In fact, I heard they were going to do a couple of other things, and they said from Washington, don't do it, please don't do it. We're indicting him into the White House. He's going to be indicted into the White House.
Now, that comes as more of Mr. Trump's political allies are showing their loyalty, appearing alongside him in the courtroom and speaking in his defense outside. Here's Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who's in the mix as a potential VP pick, and Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville.
I think this trial is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's a sham prosecution. And I think that luckily the president's supporters should know that he's actually in great spirits despite the circumstances of this. He should be out on the campaign trail. But of course, he's here with this trial.
We got a courtroom that's the most depressing thing I've ever been in. Mental anguish is trying to be pushed on the Republican candidate for the president of the United States this year. That's all this is.
And joining me outside that New York courthouse is NBC's Yasmin Vasugian to break down everything that happened today in the courtroom. Also joining me, legal analyst Jeremy Saland, who is a former prosecutor and a district attorney in the Manhattan DA's office, and Danny Savalos, a criminal defense attorney and an NBC News legal analyst. All right, Yasmin, let's start with you. Walk us through the highlights from today's testimony. What did we learn?
So, Ryan, they're laying out a critical moment right now, and they're admitting into evidence Exhibit 35, which is a bank statement, a bank document in which Ellen Weisselberg essentially kind of scribbles on how much it is that they're going to be paying back Michael Cohen to make him whole. That grossing up of the money that was paid out to Stormy Daniels, $130,000, then going up to $420,000, which also included his bonus along with a tax payout. That is a critical piece of evidence in this entire trial, and they're talking about it right now. In the lead up to this moment, there have been some pretty crucial moments, Ryan, throughout his testimony during the day. They're setting up at one point, the prosecution right now, that Michael Cohen was angry with Donald Trump. They're trying to get ahead of this, what seems to be likely part of the cross-examination from the defense, in which Michael Cohen is angry about Donald Trump's even bonus or lack thereof, as he says. And this is the exchange. How did you feel about the bonus and the Stormy Daniels payout? And Michael Cohen says, I was truly insulted, personally hurt. It didn't make sense. After all that I had gone through in terms of the campaigning, as well as things at the Trump organization, laying out $130,000 on his behalf to protect him, that the gratitude shown back to me was to cut the bonus by 2/3. I actually had to do a double take. And I'm wondering if the prosecution is doing this to kind of get ahead of what the defense is likely to do during cross-examination, kind of paint this picture of a guy who had an axe to grind with the former president of the United States. There was another key moment, in addition to some of what you just read, Ryan, and talking about Donald Trump's role in all of this, and specifically Donald Trump's role within the Trump organization and this alleged scheme, in which Hoffinger, an attorney for the people, asks, would you have made the payments to Stormy Daniels without getting sign-off from Mr. Trump? And Michael Cohen says no. Hoffinger says, why not? And Michael Cohen says, because everything required Mr. Trump's sign-off. In addition to that, I wanted the money back. This is also a crucial moment to this testimony as well, Ryan. The issue here, though, is, especially with the phone logs, there were multiple phone calls made on October 26th. That's a key date here, and I want you to keep that in mind. That was the time in which Michael Cohen alleged, essentially, that Donald Trump said, all right, I think it's time we pay off Stormy Daniels. We take care of this thing. And they had multiple phone calls going back and forth. The issue is we don't necessarily know what they talked about. But that is when one has to circle back to, and I imagine the prosecution's hoping the jury circles back to, so much of the testimony that we have heard from so many other of the witnesses. And some of the witnesses not as crucial, for instance, as Michael Cohen or Stormy Daniels. You think about the publishers who, in fact, testified that Donald Trump was a very frugal man. He knew all the money going in and out. He signed every check. Madeleine Westerhout, who testified about the checks being sent to the White House that he subsequently signed. All of that witness testimony leading up to this point, essentially, with Michael Cohen testifying that it is Donald Trump who essentially signs off on the final decision. It is Donald Trump, essentially, who signs off on whether or not they are going to pay Stormy Daniels or not.
And Yasmin, talk to us a little bit about what Donald Trump's demeanor was like while Michael Cohen was on the stand. We've seen him react to other witnesses. How did he react to his former fixer today?
It's hard to get a grasp, Ryan, really, of the former president's demeanor inside the courtroom. At one point earlier on in the testimony, his eyes seemed closed. I wouldn't say he was sleeping, but his eyes did certainly seem closed, as he has alleged, or he has said, I should say, on social media, that he closes his eyes to think about other things as he's listening to some testimony. He seems, though, more engaged, especially in the lead up to the payout. It seems as if when Michael Cohen was testifying specifically to the conversations that they were having back and forth, he was talking pretty frequently to his attorneys throughout that entire testimony. And then now, when Michael Cohen was kind of reading through some of the text message exchanges that they were having and some of the readouts from the media clippings in which the prosecution was asking Michael Cohen to read from, essentially, especially around his bonus, it seemed as if Donald Trump was not listening to Michael Cohen. He was more tuned out to that testimony.
Okay, Yasmin Fazougian outside the courthouse. Yasmin, thank you for that. Let's talk now to our legal team. Jeremy, let's start with you. It seems as though the prosecution has gotten what they needed from Michael Cohen so far today. What exactly are they trying to establish?
Well, they have to establish that knowledge and intent, sort of acting in concert as an accomplice, even though the argument is that Trump was a principal, but acting along with Michael Cohen, he wasn't going rogue. And I thought from what I've read, I was not in the courtroom, that it seemed that they're doing a good job. Now, there's a couple of asterisks here. When the prosecution does a good job, very often it's what happened next, what happened next. You know, when we really will find out when it comes time for cross-examination. But we got some of the smaller things that sort of give the air of truthfulness, that sort of aroma of truthfulness, as well as corroboration. For example, you heard about Michael Cohen talking about a way to sort of mask this payment was through a bar mitzvah or a golf membership at one of the clubs. We saw that there's phone logs relating to specific phone calls where Michael Cohen said, yes, I was on a call with David Pecker or Michael Cohen or Hope Hicks. So it's building this foundation that is necessary in addition to just the testimony we're hearing from David Pecker, Hope Hicks to corroborate. And finally, someone is putting the hands on of Donald Trump. So overall, it seems to be going in the right direction, but cross-examine is still yet to be seen.
And part of this, Jeremy, right, it has to go beyond that Trump knew that there was a payment and knew there was a payoff. They really need to prove that he also knew that the business records were being falsified, correct?
Well,
Did the prosecution make gains in that area today?
Well, at this point, it's all about establishing that, and then it's the intent to conceal that other crime. And that other crime, it wasn't about family. It was to be in a conspiracy to promote an election or prevent an election, which would have been his to promote. So that's that next piece, assuming that it's that state election law under Article 17 as the other crime. But they did move the ball forward, but there's still yet a lot to be done. It's a big lift to have good, credible witnesses and things to go in smoothly, then proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But it's heading the right direction.
Okay, so let's get to the defense side of this, Danny. Based on what you have heard that the prosecutors discussed today, where do you think the defense starts on their cross-examination? Jeremy points out that Michael Cohen's only as good as until he survives the cross-examination. What's the most important issue for them with Cohen as a witness?
There are three. He's a liar, and his pants are on fire. And that's really going to be the thrust of cross-examination in this case. And really, I'm being glib, but more than that, it's going to be that he's a liar, and also he has a motive to come here and seek revenge. Revenge is a major theme for Michael Cohen. But of course, revenge only goes so far, as does lack of credibility, because there are a lot of documents that have been introduced. For example, there are bank records with Alan Weisselberg's handwriting on them. Michael Cohen can't really lie his way through that, even if he had a motive to do so, to try and bury Donald Trump. So the key here is the bank records, the documents, and other witnesses when it comes to Michael Cohen. The prosecution wants to minimize the importance of Cohen. They didn't call him at the end because they wanted him to be some big marquee grand finale. They called him at the end so that they could shove in all this other evidence into the record that corroborates what Michael Cohen's going to say, because on cross-examination, he's going to get skewered.
And Jeremy, is that part of the burden for the prosecution? Do they have to address these credibility issues before the defense even gets their opportunity to cross-examine him? How do you address that your witness could potentially be a convicted liar?
I mean, they would be absolute and utter fools, complete fools, and amateurs if they didn't take it out themselves. That's something you're trained to in prosecution 101, or for that matter, trial attorney 101. If your client has flaws and you know those flaws are going to be essential or critical to a case, you bring those out. And if you can, use that flaw as an advantage. He's still here. He's still coming. He's still testifying, despite knowing he's going to be cross-examined, despite knowing that he's a convicted criminal, despite knowing that he lied, and he's going to be skewered. He is still here, and he's giving you, again, I use that term, aroma of sort of truthfulness and credibility, these little stories that seem to add up. But you have to take the wind out of the sails of the defense. Now, would I want to rest on my last witness be Michael Cohen? I mean, there's an argument to be made that shouldn't be your last witness, because you don't want that heated person to be the last person that is a person of conflict. You may want something that's much more credible and easy, but they're doing the job they need now. Let's wait to hear what happens with cross-examination.
And Jeremy, you mentioned these anecdotes, the stories that they're telling throughout the course of his testimony. There was one today that came to light that's certain to get a lot of headlines. This is one of the things that Cohen testified about when the Stormy Daniels story came to light. He said, "This is a disaster, a total disaster." He's talking about Trump. Women will hate me. Guys will think it's cool, but it's going to be a disaster for the campaign. Obviously, this is great fodder for the tabloids. It's great for us to talk about in a setting like this. Does it have any kind of impact on the case?
Well, it goes to, again, the state of mind of Donald Trump and what was going on, because we're trying to, under the theory from the prosecution, that we're trying to fix this election, and it goes to the campaign. Remember, as the viewers probably know, Donald Trump is saying it was about my family. So it is important. It's relevant. It's not a home run by any stretch. It's just part of the storyline.
Mm-hmm. So, Danny, we also heard a recording between Cohen and Trump about the McDougal story. Take a listen to this.
I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to think?
funding. Yes. And it's all the stuff, because, you never know where that company, you never know what he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So no. I got no.
I mean, what kind of evidence will this have on the jury? It's about a different situation, right? This is McDougal. This isn't Stormy Daniels. But if Trump's not going to testify, does this have an impact on the jury?
Look, normally prior bad acts or prior bad behavior doesn't come in to prove criminal conduct, a specific crime. You can't bring in everything bad that somebody did to prove that they did something this time. But this is a huge gray area. And this is something the defense fought against. But it comes in because it's about a course of conduct. It's about what these guys did with these stories. Now, it has nothing to do with the underlying charges in the sense that none of the McDougal payments are part of the core charges against Trump. So they come in and they're very damaging to Trump because they tend to show that this is the kind of business he engaged in. Of course, it doesn't make Cohen look all that much better because he's a lawyer who's presumably recording his own client. But the prosecution can deal with that as long as, and I've been following along, I don't know that the prosecution's really put out there all the problems Cohen has. I'm sure they will. They absolutely will do it. But they've got to do that. They've got to own it up front before he gets on cross.
And Danny, just to wrap this up, I mean, Cohen repeatedly said that Trump knew about these so-called schemes. Is it going to be the burden of the defense to disprove that when it's their opportunity?
Well, technically, the defense has zero burden. The defense can sit back, call zero witnesses, point to the prosecution and say they didn't meet their burden. You may believe that something's fishy. You may believe that it's likely Trump is guilty, or even very likely that Trump is guilty. All of those do not reach beyond a reasonable doubt. And if there's any doubt, any hesitation, and Jeremy knows I'm doing the whole spiel that defense attorneys do right now, but I mean, that's really where this case is going, because there may not be many avenues for the defense left such that they have to go back to the baseline default, which is they didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right, Jeremy Saland, Danny Savalos. Danny, thank your kids for that Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire opener. I appreciate that. Definitely brought some spice to our conversation today. I thank you both for being here and bringing us your expertise. Coming up, from Congress to the court.